So hey, I thought I would jump right on into my videos here by doing a couple of reviews. And we're going to start up with some cheap stuff. It's going to be some beauty products. I know I said that the whole channel wasn't going to be beauty products, but I figure there's probably going to be a lot of them, so we might as well just go ahead and start with beauty products. Good news is I'm actually starting out with some cheap ones. So let's take a look at what we're going to be looking at here today. The Blushed Nudes, The Nudes, the Rock Nudes. So I've actually had these for a couple of weeks, and I will tell you this, as of probably 3 days ago, they were still a little bit difficult to find in and around the area that I live in, as long as you're going to stores. I tried several different stores. I tried drugstores like Walgreens and CVS, things like that. I found 2 of them at Walmart, and I did find one of them at Walgreens. Best price going to be Walmart. It's a couple dollars cheaper than everybody else. It was under $10 at Walmart. But they seem to always be sold out. So I was at Walmart this morning. Actually, I was at Walmart this morning. And the one in my area actually didn't have any of the palettes left. So these are definitely a bit of a hot product. So what I decided I'm going to do here is we're going to do a lot of swatching. And there's a lot of them because, as you guys probably saw describing a random palette, there are a lot of colors, and I'm sorry you're getting my camera, but there are actually a lot of colors available there. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch all those. I'm just going to use my finger, and I'm going to use the inside portion of my arm because it is white. I'm also going to use a flashlight because I don't have a whole lot of light. As we went over in other videos, this is the best lighting it's in my house. Believe me, I have tried every other room. This is the best lighting in my house, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a flashlight. I'm going to try to hold the flashlight and swatch these on my arm so you can see what they look like, okay? Okay, so I had to go run and get my trusty flashlight, and turns out my dog was apparently just barking and just woke up everybody in the house, so I had to go and explain that, oh no, it's okay, I'm making a video, I'm not being slowly murdered by a serial killer or something. Oh, dogs. Okay, so what you're actually seeing here are swatches of the Rock Nudes, and this is the stuff that is actually on the very top layer. Okay, so let me see if I can get those in there. Not a whole lot of them are very pigmented, so I'm doing my best here to get some of them to show up. I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've actually got 7 colors on my arm, and you can only see 3 of them. Okay, so let's discuss that right now. Okay, so trying to do that clip, I'm starting to notice I'm not thinking that the swatching is going to turn out real well, especially on these. Like I said, we are doing the Rock Nudes right now, and I'm doing, I don't think you're going to be able to see it, you're going to end up getting a glare, but I'm doing this layer here on the very top, and then I kind of squeezed this one in because I thought I could get the whole line in because I just kind of misjudged the length of my own arm. But what we've got here, the only ones that are showing up are, the only ones that are showing up are these last 3 here. So what you've got is you've actually got a white, a silver kind of gray color, and a gold that are not showing up. So let me explain them to you. They're mostly just shimmers. Obviously, when I'm looking at them on my arm, I'm in person and I can barely see them. Okay? With a little bit of primer on, because I've actually worn these colors, with a little bit of primer on, they're actually not terrible, but I don't want to waste my primer on my arm, especially when the lighting is so bad you really can't see them anyway. So what you're seeing is of course I can't turn them around, you're seeing the colors that are over in this section here, and you can't see them, but there actually is a little bit of shimmer to them. They're actually quite nice, especially for in the corner of the eye, just to add a little bit of shimmer, just to open the eyes up a little bit. Obviously the white and the gray are the lightest of the 2. The gold is actually a little bit more pigmented, but not extremely more pigmented. And I would say the silver is probably the most shimmery. Okay, and again, it's not a heavy shimmer, it's just a light amount of shimmer, so it's not going to look awkward. Like if you're like me and have hooded eyes, it's not going to look terribly awkward. Okay, the thin brown line that you see here, okay, is actually, I don't think you can see it, but it's this color right there. Okay, You know what, let me try to open this up and see if that works out better. Yeah, there you go. It's this color right here. Okay, and that is actually more of a matte color. It's a matte brown. It's a very solid, great crease line. And it's just a nude. I mean, there's nothing special about it. It's the same kind of brown that you can get in just about every other palette. This color right here, when I did it on my arm, it's a little bit shimmery, but as you can see, okay, it looks kind of like a navy blue, okay? Now when I did the swatch, okay, it's actually this thick one right here, okay? When I do the swatch, it actually comes out gray. I was a little bit surprised by that one because it looks like an emerald blue. It looks like a light shimmer emerald blue kind of color. When I put it on my arm, it's very lightly shimmered and it's like a grayish color. I'm a little bit, I don't know if you can, okay, it actually comes out a little bit darker there, but again, it is still, I don't even know if my flashlight will help with this. I wish, I'm really sorry. One of these days I'll actually have decent lighting. Let me see, that is not going to help. No, that doesn't help. Okay. But as I said, instead of it being the navy blue that I was expecting it to be, it actually turned out to be more of a gray color. Now, this color here on the end is actually a extremely shimmery looking, okay, black. And that's this color right here, which doesn't look terribly wonderful in camera because it's twisted too far and it's too close to my wrist. It appears to be, in the palette, it appears to be, see, you can kind of see it there. It looks a lot more shimmery than the others. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be a heck of a lot more shimmery. But when I actually swatched it on my arm, there's not that much shimmer. These lighter colors down here actually look like they have a little bit more shimmer. Okay. Next to that, which you can't see, right over here, let me give you the finger. Right over in here is this color here, which is, it is like a yellowish pigmentation, and it's got a very small, very fine amount of shimmer to it. It's almost not even there, and on my arm I can't even see it with my eyes. I can't see it almost at all. Okay, so that's what you've got for those first ones there. Okay, so for the bottom portion of it, we've actually got a lot more pigment. I've actually gone ahead and swatched those, and again, I moved it too far over on my arm like a dummy. Okay, we're going to start out with this color here, which is actually more of a flesh tone, so that would be good for like a brow bone kind of color. It is matte, there's no shimmer to it. It very easily blends, and like I said, it is a flesh tone color, so it actually doesn't show up really well on my arm. It just kind of looks like my arm. The next color that we're going to look at, if I can get that onto the camera, is going to be this color right here, which is actually a very dark brown. And that is this color here, which almost looks, on camera, it almost looks like a purple. Okay, actually, so does this one, but this one looks like a little bit more of a purple. It's actually a very dark brown. And then this one, I gotta admit, this color right here, and again, it's not gonna show up real well on the camera. It's actually this one here. I have to say that's probably my favorite color in the whole palette. It's actually a lot darker than it looks. Okay, you've got a lot of shimmer going on there, and turns out it's actually a pretty dark shade. It's still a gold color. It's still a very gold color. Again, it would be really good for the center of the eye. It's extremely pigmented. It is very glittery. I actually really like it. It's one of my favorites. I don't look good with glittery eyeshadow. I don't wear it a whole heck of a lot, but I do wear it sometimes. That one I'm going to wear. The next one you've got, you know, I'm not even going to bother showing you the swatches. They don't look good. The next one is actually more of, again, it looks purple. Okay, but it's kind of like a maroon color. Okay, this one here is your jet black. I mean, that is jet black. Both of these here are very, very matte colors. This one being more of a maroonish brown, and this one being that real like jet black. Okay, so that was the Rock Nudes. Now I have worn most of these. I haven't worn all of them yet. Like I said, I've had them for a couple of weeks. And I have worn most of them. I haven't worn that gold one yet. I'm going to have to wear that one. I might even try that one tomorrow. I really like that one, but I haven't worn it before. I have worn most of these, and I have to be honest with you, they actually last really well. They hold, I use Urban Decay's eye primer potion. So I put that on first, and then I'll put on one or more of these colors. Sometimes I just wear one color and, you know, whatever I put on top of that. And then other times I'll actually do like a look on my eyes, like I'll do the crease and, you know, the whole 9 yards. Most of the time I do. They seem to be extremely blendable. They're nice blendable colors. They're nice and soft. They're not creamy like a lot of your other eyeshadows are, but they are definitely smooth enough. They're nice and powdery. They go on really well. Didn't have a humongous fallout problem with most of them, but there is a little bit of fallout. So if you use pads or a tissue or something to cover fallout, I would definitely put them in place for this. They seem to last very well. The maximum amount of time I actually wore one of them, I actually wore 3 of them at one time. And it lasted about 18 hours. There was no creasing, there was no movement. I didn't have any, you know, rubbed out spots, anything like that. I do have very watery eyes, so my eyes water quite a bit. They seem to have held up to that as well. They are not rated as waterproof, just so you're aware. They do not say anything on there about being waterproof, but they seem to have held up to my eyes watering really badly. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to just the Nudes palette. Okay, I actually really like this palette, and I wish you could see. I had swatched it out just so that I can describe the colors to you, because they look different. Obviously, they look different when they're swatched than they do in the palette. What I like about this particular, I have to bend them this way because they take the light a little bit better. What I like about this palette is that they're mostly coppers. It looks like a lot of brown, but most of these are actually like a real nice coppery tone. Okay, this one right here actually goes onto the arm like a whitish skin tone, but it's very pearlized. It's not so much shimmery, like doesn't seem to be any real glitter in it, but it comes off like almost a pearlized color. It's really, really pretty. I like it a lot. The next one, this one here is almost like a blonde copper color. It's very, very pigmented. All of these in this particular palette are actually quite pigmented. Okay, so you're gonna have a lot of darker shades coming out of this one than you did out of the Rock Nudes. Okay, so what you're looking at right here, okay, is more of a blondish copper color. And how did that, oh, that's why I can't really see it. This one here is your flesh tone. This is actually one of the better flesh tones that I've seen, and I'm gonna end up hitting pan on that one, I know, because this actually matches my skin really well, which is why when I was just looking at my swatches, I totally just missed it. It's still a coppery tone, so it's got kind of a yellowish copper tone to it, but it blends into flesh tone really, really well. It's just a really nice shade. It is, however, a lot more pigmented than this one, so if you're fair-skinned, you might want to use this one for like your brow bone, okay? This color right here is a really deep copper. I mean, it is the truest shade of copper. It's almost like a rust color, okay? And it's actually really pretty, and I really wish I had some good lighting because it actually is extremely pretty. This one here is again going to be a lighter brown color. Let me get my finger out of the way. That one there is actually going to be like a lighter brown color, and that is one of the matte colors in here. These actually have like a really good mixture of very pigmented and very either matte or just like a fine shimmer, but then you'll have one or two that are like really, really shimmery. So again, there's something in all these palettes for everybody. Okay, so what you're looking at here, okay, right here is going to be your more matte, but still extremely pigmented, like dirty blonde brown kind of thing. Okay, it's not going to be a flesh tone, but it would be a good crease color. And again, same with this one, but you're going to have that's your matte dark brown. Okay, so from there, we're going to go on to this one, which is actually just a few shades lighter than this one. So these two colors actually would not go well together because they're similar. This one is a little bit lighter, okay, and it does have a little bit of shimmer, but not a lot. It doesn't have nearly as much shimmer as this one. This one's quite shimmery. This one, not so much, but it does have some shimmer and it is very light in color. This one is like a burgundy, okay? It's like a burgundy rust color kind of thing. I really like this one. It's extremely dark. It's extremely pigmented, okay? This color right next to it would actually probably pair pretty well with that one. This is a goldish color, but it's not, it's more of a flesh tone color. So what this is going to actually leave on your eye is going to be just kind of a tint of gold with a little bit of shimmer, okay? But it's not going to give you a whole lot of pigment. It's not going to be, you know, blinding, but it isn't going to work as a good brow bone color either. This one here is a very dark burgundy brown. Okay, again, it's a really nice color. I really love this color a lot. Just a fine amount of shimmer in it, but there is some shimmer. Okay, again, this one here is going to be more of a flesh tone. It's got a lot more shimmer in it than these two over here. Okay, these two are nice, and this one here as well. Okay, this one is definitely the one that has the most shimmer. Okay, it's a much darker pearl color. Okay, so again, this one is going to be kind of similar to this one here in that they're kind of more pearlized than they are shimmered. But this one down here is a lot darker. And again, you've got your obligatory black. I swear every single palette has like this jet black color. And I don't use jet black because the real dark colors don't look good on me. And I suck at putting on black eyeliner. I really suck at it. I always end up looking like a raccoon. No matter what I do, I look like a raccoon. Okay, now we are on to the Blushed Nudes, which is this one here. I gotta admit, this is the palette I've been using the most. Very, very lightly pigmented for the most part. Okay, let me see. You've got this whole top layer up here is very lightly pigmented, and then the bottom layer down on the bottom is a lot more pigmented. Most of these are actually shimmers, okay, in some way. You've got a couple that have like a very, kind of like a light, like this one right here actually has like kind of a very, very, very fine shimmer to it. It's almost matte, but not quite. But all of these in here pretty much have some level of shimmer to them. There's even a couple in here that are a little bit more like iced, okay? So let me put that little thing down because I was using it as a pointer for some reason. Okay, again, here we go with the white. Very similar to the one that was in the Nudes palette. It's more like a pearlized white color. It doesn't show up at all. I'm not even going to bother showing you the swatches because, like, you can't see any of them. But it's kind of like a pearlized white. It's very nice. It's very subtle. Gives you just a little bit of shimmer, but doesn't take too much away from your eyes. It will lighten up your skin, even if you're kind of fair-skinned. It'll probably lighten up your skin just a little bit. Okay, eyeshadow all over my fingers. This one right here, okay, get that in a little closer because they're so light colored. That one right there is a shimmered pink, okay, and I'm going to point that out. It does have a fine shimmer to it, and it is kind of more of a flesh tone, but I would probably use it more in the corner of my eye than I would on the brow bone. Okay, obviously not on the crease, but I would use it probably in the corner of the eye, not the center, not the brow bone. It doesn't look to me like it would work all that well. I actually haven't used that color quite yet. This one here looks like a bluish. That one's not really showing up all that well. It almost looks like a bluish gray. When I put it on my arm, it's actually more of a whitish silver. That one's a little bit of a letdown. I don't really like that one so much. I don't know why. I think probably because I was expecting it to be like a baby blue. Because that's what it looks like in the palette. It looks like a baby blue, kind of like a bluish gray sort of thing. But when I actually put it on, it's more of a whitish silver. So I'm a little disappointed with that one. This one here was a little bit of a surprise. It's actually quite similar to this one in color, except in this one actually has probably a little bit of a thicker coverage. That one's the one that I was talking about when I said that there was a couple that were like iced, like an iced kind of thing. I don't know how to describe it, but it's more of an iced finish instead of a shimmer finish. So a little bit more coverage. It's going to be a little bit darker. It has just a touch more pigment to it, but it's more of an all-over gloss instead of catching the right light kind of glitter to it. It's an all-over gloss. It's actually really, really pretty, and I think that's probably one of my favorite colors in here. But once we get to the bottom level of this, some of these colors are absolutely phenomenal. This is really, like I said, this is probably the palette I've been using the most. This is a really, really nice palette. Let me see, what do we have here? This one here is more, I can do this without being a bumbling weirdo. Okay, this color right here is, again, it's got a little bit more shimmer in it than it looks like. When you're actually looking at the palette, that one looks matte. Okay, it looks like a matte flesh tone. And it is a flesh tone, but it does have a very fine shimmer to it. I think it would actually be not bad as a brow bone kind of color. Very nice, very blendable. Doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of pigment, but it's there. This color here is actually darker than it looks. The color that I have on my arm is kind of like, this is going to sound really strange. It's like an olive drab brown. I don't even understand, because I'm looking at that and it's brown, but it's sort of like that, yeah, it's sort of like an olive drab brown, like a desert brown, okay? If you're into military things or anything, I think they usually call it like a desert, like desert tan. Desert tan. That's kind of the color that it looks like, is desert tan, with a little bit of shimmer on it, so it's sort of a girly desert tan. This color here, okay, is very similar to the ones that were in the nudes. It's kind of a copper. It is a very lightish copper. Is this the one that I really liked? Let me try to swatch. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is another one of those iced ones. I apologize, I screwed up. This is actually one of those iced ones. It is kind of a copper bronze kind of thing. Okay. Very iced. The shimmer is complete. It's a metallic kind of thing. It's actually gorgeous. I don't know. Let me see if I can get my flashlight, because you guys would really dig this color, I think, if I could get it to show up. Which I can't, because I don't have any good equipment. Yeah, you can't really see it. I tried. This is my my palette. This is the entire palette with the obligatory weird color on the top. But that's actually a really, really pretty color. Like I said, it's kind of an iced copper. Again, really good for the center of the eye. Okay, not a good crease color, but it would definitely be a nice color for like right in the center of the eyelid. Beautiful shade. Okay, I got a dark brown. I kind of almost skipped over it. This is another dark brown with just a little bit of shimmer in it. It's got a little bit more shimmer than most of the darker browns that have been in here. And it's close to being that iced metallic shade, but not quite. So you're not going to have that all over kind of shimmer. It's going to be not matte, but not flat either. That is an extremely blendable shade. So that is, I think, is probably going to be one of the better crease colors. That's one of the ones I use quite a bit because I can blend it out so well. You do have to be really careful though with these colors, because if you blend too much, they're going to disappear completely. These are some of those colors that you can just blend them away. Okay. This color here, I wish you could actually like see that more, because it's kind of like a cosmic olive drab. Okay, it's like that olive drab one that I had pointed out before, which I think was this one up here. It's actually quite similar in color. Okay, and again, it's kind of a frosted, iced, metallic kind of thing. It's like a sky blue pink. Yeah, it's like a frosted kind of color. So it's got an all-over shimmer, and it's still kind of that olive drabby brown kind of shade. And it doesn't look like it, because when you look at it in the palette, it looks gray. Okay, but it is more of like an olive drab shimmer shade. Okay. This one here is probably the closest you're going to get to a matte color in the whole palette. It does still have some shimmer to it, and it's a little confusing because it's sort of a grayish black, and it comes off looking like it would be one of the ones that's iced, but it's not really. It's more of a flat with just a little tiny fine shimmer to it. Just enough that if you catch it in the right light, it looks really kind of shiny and flashy and woo. But it's kind of a grayish black. And you can kind of, no you can't. Let me see if I can twist my arm the way it's not supposed to be. That's it right there. So it is still a dark, it is still a very dark shade. But it's more of a grayish black instead of being this kind of grayish blue that it comes off as. Okay, these two colors here in the end are kind of neat. This one is extremely dark. This one not so much. Okay, this one here is like an iced rose color. Okay, again, really, really good color. I'm thinking that would probably be good as like an all over the eyelid, as long as you do something in the crease. I wouldn't do that as a single color. If you're like me and do single colors once in a while, I probably wouldn't do it with that one. But if you're going to do a crease, okay, you're going to do fine with that. You can even actually use it in the crease itself. You could use this color right up here and then use this in the crease, and that would look really, really good. However, I think with this in the crease, you're going to have a nice pop of color. It's going to be very, very eye-catching that way. Again, it's more of a frosted metallic shade than just a standard shimmer. So you're going to have a nice shimmer all over, and the pigment is so strong. That's actually one of the most pigmented ones in there. This color here, believe it or not, I know this doesn't, my camera's not doing any of these colors any justice, but it's really not doing that one any justice. It's a black maroon with, it's not really a black maroon, it's kind of a blackish pink. I know that doesn't make any sense, but when you see it, it makes sense. It's black, it's a blackish, but the shimmer that's in it, it's very heavily shimmered, very heavily pigmented, but the shimmer that's in it is actually a pinkish glitter. Okay, so what you're looking at is a black base with a pinkish glitter. Okay, again, very, very pigmented. That one is a little bit harder to blend. Okay, I have noticed with that one that it is a bit harder to blend than the other colors that are in this palette. Okay. So I'm really digging these palettes. They're very inexpensive. They seem to range between about $9 and $13 depending on where you get them and where you live. Your highest pigmented palette out of the group is definitely going to be just the plain nudes. Okay, it's going to be this one right here, the nudes. Okay, these colors have the most pigment, and they also seem to be a little bit more blendable than the other palettes, which I kind of like. This one here is going to be the lightest, but it also seems to have the more striking colors. Okay, I really expected the Rock Nudes to be the one that would have the more striking colors. Those are actually a little bit darker, but they're not quite as pigmented. All of these, with the exception of that one in the Blushed Nudes that I mentioned at the end of the last clip, are extremely blendable. They all seem to hold on really well. There's not a whole lot of creasing. However, as I said, you're definitely going to want to use a primer with them, especially if you're using a lighter shaded palette like the Blushed Nudes. You're going to definitely want to use a good primer, and you're going to want to be careful with your blending, because again, it is a drugstore brand, and I have noticed that I don't have a whole lot of drugstore brands anymore. I just don't buy a whole lot of them. I have, like Urban Decay and Bare Minerals and Lorac and Stila and all those. Every once in a while I'll buy something like this because it just really looked interesting, and these were really, really good. But what I have noticed with them is that they seem to be really easy to blend completely away. So you've got to pay really close attention to what you're doing with them so that you don't just completely blend them off your face. But you've also got to watch, because if you're blending them off your face, you're also going to create a lot of fallout with them, because they'll just fall right off, and then you end up with everything right down in here. My eyesight is not what it used to be, and I actually walked around for a little while today. I was actually wearing makeup today. I actually walked around for quite a while today with a bunch of fallout under here, and it took until it actually blended into itself for me to realize it, and it looked like I had been in a bar fight. So just make sure that whatever you do, don't overblend, because you don't want to blend it away, but you also want to be careful of that fallout, because you're going to get quite a bit. However, the pigmentation is just right. You've got something for every mood. If you want just a little bit of pigmentation, or if you want a lot of pigmentation, or if you want a combination of the two, you can find it in one of those 3 palettes. However, if you decide you only want to buy one of them, I would suggest buying the Nudes. Okay? The second one would definitely be the Blushed Nudes. I'm kind of on the Rock Nudes. But definitely, if you're only going to buy one, get the Nudes. If you're going to buy 2, get the Blush Nudes as well. Those seem to be the best ones. They'll cover everything that you possibly need. You can do a night out, which, how many of us actually do a night out? You know, especially at my age, I don't do a night out anymore. A night out for me is, you know, sitting at home watching Netflix, watching The Walking Dead on Netflix. But you can do a night out if you want to. You can do a work look. I've worn several of them on job interviews. They work out really well. They blend really well. The pigmentation is just what you want them to be. And they're really kind of mistake proof, because again, if you put on too much, or if it's not the way you like it, you can kind of blend it on out and just blend it until it looks right, and it works out pretty well. So definitely highly recommended. There's a lot of colors and a lot of looks that you can do with these for very little money. It's definitely the way to go. If you're one of those, if you're like me and you don't have a whole heck of a lot of money, those are definitely palettes that are worth picking up. I have noticed, especially the Blush Nudes, they seem to mimic the Urban Decay Naked palettes, and a lot of these do. And that was why I was interested in them, I'll be completely honest. I love Urban Decay, it's one of my favorite brands, but I looked at their naked palettes, and for what they cost and for what they are, I like to wear a lot more louder colors. I wear like dark pinks and stuff like that. So I have a lot of stuff from Urban Decay because of their coloration that they have, but I didn't want to go for those particular palettes when I could get something like these Maybelline palettes, because they're very similar but way less expensive. I think the Urban Decay Naked palettes are something like, what are they, like $54, something like that? I know the last palette that I bought from them was $54, so I'm assuming the Naked palettes are probably the same. I don't see a whole heck of a lot of difference between what I swatched from them and what I swatched from Urban Decay. The Urban Decay pigmentation is definitely better. Okay, hands down, their pigmentation is definitely a lot better. However, they're not that much better that I would spend the $54 instead of paying, you know, like I said, I went to Walmart, I got 2 of them for $9, and then the one that Walmart didn't have, I got it at Walgreens for like $13, about $13. It's not a whole heck of a lot of money for what you're getting. So, and they seem to hold up, they last, they look good, and nobody can tell. You know, really, it's one of those things where nobody can really tell if it's high-end or not. So, definitely recommended, go for it. Again, you were looking at Maybelline, the Blushed Nudes, the Nudes, and the Rock Nudes. Okay? This one is definitely a must-have, that's the Nudes. Definitely a must-have, go for it. Beautiful colors. Guys, enjoy your evening, and I will see you next time.